Morning finds St. Mary's Lake at the eastern edge of Going to the Sun Highway in Glacier National Park sparkling in bright sunlight. The ever-present clouds have broken apart to let in the sun and has given us a fine day. Oh, the clouds are still here, but in one of the numerous moods they have, we find them playing a game of hide-and-seek with the peaks of the surrounding mountains. Our desire to bring this land within the reach of all has produced a wonder in itself. The fabulous Going to the Sun Highway will bring us over the top of the backbone of this land, the Continental Divide. Traveling west on the highway up towards Logan Pass, Clements Mountain stands out in our view as if watching over us. The sign of the glacier is still with us. Between Citadel Mountain and Mount Jackson, the blue-white of Jackson Glacier dazzles the eye. Looking back at one of the wispy falls that splash along the landscape, we are startled to find we have passed a peak from which this highway takes its name, Going to the Sun Mountain. The Continental Divide. Here we look toward the western face of the Garden Wall, well named. It was the other side of this formation we faced as we looked up from the heights of Grinnell Glacier. The inviting-looking trail here is only one of many in the Logan Pass area. I decide on the one to Hidden Lake. Just a short way up brings us to this view of St. Mary's Lake, now far below. Seen again to the left is Going to the Sun Mountain. Along the way, we see a study of contrast in the white of fresh-looking snow at the foot of Clements, with fields of white alpine flowers leading between the trees almost up to the snow. The blossoms up here are of many varieties, of many colors, and showy, that is, until the snows of the following winter. We come at nearly 7,000 feet elevation to signs of underwater activity. Shallow seas actually did cover this area at one time, which partially dried up at intervals. Then the muddy shores would bake in the sun and crack into a checkerboard pattern. When the water rose and again covered the shores, these cracks would fill with new sediments. Today, these mud cracks are visible along the trail, evidence for us of this ancient sea's existence. The mountain stands out in solemn majesty as we top the rise of our trail. We are now straddling the Continental Divide, where the motion of our descending waters are split east and west. And even here, the movement of water is evident. Two-mile-long Hidden Lake is the bane of the fishermen. The large cutthroat trout seldom comes to the bait of lures, for the lake has an adequate food supply, including freshwater shrimp. There is no need for the fish to try out the unusual that might pop down. The twin peaks of Gunsight Mountain can be found right down the center, with Sperry Glacier in sight on the left peak. So, as the clouds keep boiling up from the Pacific so many miles away, we are ready to start following the water on the ground. Our highway now takes us down to the western half of Glacier National Park towards McDonald Valley. The jagged peaks of the Livingston Range offer a fine vista. Aptly named is Longfellow Peak. Here it rises above the dark green of the thick carpet of forest prevalent on the western slope. The sparkle of the sun on the trees close at hand stands out all the more when contrasted with the dark somber of the cloud-shadowed mountains and forests in the canyons below. While we have worked our way down on the highway curving around the shoulders of the mountains to reach the valleys below, the waters of Hidden Lake take a shortcut down Avalanche Creek to reach clear turquoise Avalanche Lake, creating a breathtaking sight. A surprising shaft of sunlight in the forest around the lake lights up the blossoms of the fireweed from the primrose family. A number of juicy fruit berries are found within the borders of the park, including the Avalanche Creek area, such as bearberry, huckleberry, high bush cranberry, twinberry, and elderberry. Below the lake, Avalanche Creek bounces, cavorts, and chases itself among the rocks, rooks, and crannies as it works its way down to another of the major lake areas of Glacier National Park. Lake McDonald, 3,144 feet in elevation, is the longest lake in the park, being 10 miles long and 1.5 miles wide. A perfect example of a glacial-formed lake, measurements indicated a depth of over 400 feet in some places. While the lake seems to be rimmed completely with mountains, of interest is Mount Wilbur. You can just see it, sticking its head up in the left distance. Also seen at about the same spot in this view, Mount Wilbur is one of the prominent landmarks in the mini glacier region where Grinnell is located. Just to the right of Wilbur is the Garden Wall. It is here that we leave Glacier Park, though we are loath to do so. Even the time we have spent here has only given us a slight glimpse, you might say a teaser, of what we could find if we only had the time to stay and look.